In Formula One, Kimi Räikkönen was known as the Iceman. He was called this possibly because he loves ice cream and is from cold Finland, but mostly because of his no-nonsense attitude, steely on-track precision, and being a man of few words. However, in the IndyCar series, Scott Dixon is the Iceman. Not because he doesn't speak very much, but because when he does, he keeps a calm, cool head. Whether it's after finding misfortune on track, fighting for a record-breaking championship, or being robbed at gunpoint in a fast food drive-thru, it is rare to see Scott very heated and losing his composure. He just continues to deliver perfection. New Zealand is a country known for many things, but one is its large population of sheep. But maybe this time the flock produced a goat. Today's video is about Kiwi superstar Scott Dixon, and technically Scott is a companion of the New Zealand Order of Merit, and even though he received a reward from the Queen in 2019, it is not accompanied by any titles like Knight. His real full name is
Scott Ronald Glindower Dixon.
Is there any particular meaning by the third name in there?
No, it's my grandfather's. He was known by Glyn, but Glindower is the Welsh full name, and Ronald is my father.
Companion Scott was born in the middle of winter, the 22nd of July, 1980, in the Brisbane Women's Hospital in Brisbane, Australia. Even then, Scott was in the land of Oz because of motorsports. He's not really sure how or why, but when he was born, his father owned and managed a dirt speedway oval in Townsville, Australia. His parents, Ronald and Glynis, were no strangers to racing. Both of them had competed in various classes at some points throughout their lives, mostly club-level racing, a little bit of bikes, some dirt track stuff, but his father had even done some rally racing and touring car racing in the old New Zealand Benson and Hedges Saloon Series. When Scott did start racing, he was greatly encouraged and supported by his parents. He does admit, though, that as more opportunities became available, they were probably living their dreams through him a little bit. However, their passion for motorsports helped them push through the rougher financial times, maybe more so than the uninvolved would have. They sort of knew what to expect when their son became involved in the sport. Scott was born as his parents' only son, and some of his earliest memories were running around with his two older sisters after races trying to find money people had dropped beneath the grandstands of the track his parents managed. He also remembers riding a small 50cc bike around outside, but really he doesn't have too many memories of Australia at that time. He was too young, and his family returned to New Zealand when he was around age 5. His family remained heavily involved with racing. Scott spent a lot of his summers at tracks where his father raced, like Waikaraka Park. His father never liked to be conventional. Whereas most dirt cars were rear-wheel drive V8s, his father built a Honda Civic with big dirt tires in the front. Scott would watch him and his friends work in the garage during the week and then go to the track on the weekend. As much time as he spent around dirt tracks, he's a bit surprised he never raced there. Dixon would get his first taste of karting after attending one of his cousin's races at the Mount Wellington kart track in Auckland. His parents encouraged him to try out the kart after the race, and he was excited just to be able to drive something fast. Of course, the karts were small, low-powered karts designed for younger children. Shortly after this, he would participate in his first race, and immediately he became aware of the dangers of karting. One of the other competitors messed up going down the backstretch at full speed, went through the hay bales, and hit a trailer. Fortunately, he hit the wheel. If he had gone under the trailer, the injuries could have been life-threatening. His mother had a few second thoughts about the safety of her young son racing, but Scott remained insistent on his desire. For the next 6 years, Scott's life and competition focused on karting. During that period, he would win 30 local and national karting championships between both New Zealand and Australia in his age groups. As he moved up each division of karting, his family bought new equipment. The financial demand was tough, but they had it mostly covered. His father had a car rental business at the time and worked extra hours importing karts from Japan for extra funds. He and Scott worked on the karts themselves, fixed their setups, sanded down the bodies, whatever it took to make the process more affordable. Scott also knew education was important, and if he wanted to keep racing, he needed to do well in school. Fortunately, he was pretty good at school and enjoyed math and science. Around age 13, Scott was going to make the jump from karts to cars. However, there was an age limit to these racing series, and in order to qualify, he would need to pass a special driving test. It would happen at Pukekohe Park, in a Suzuki Swift with an examiner from the Auckland Car Club. He would almost fail his evaluation after he was turning off the main straight and swerved to miss a family of ducks, spun down the narrow escape road, and freaked out his passenger. But alas, he would receive special disposition and would start racing in the Formula V series. In cars, things didn't start off auspiciously. In one of the first races in the V, he would cause a crash with a championship favorite in the same corner where he spun in his test. People started asking if this kid was really ready. But Dixon would quickly fix his mistakes and end up becoming the youngest champion of the New Zealand Formula V Championship in 1994 in his first attempt. He would finish second in the NZ Formula Class 2 Championship. Later in the year, he would make national headlines racing a car with fenders. He would be racing in a Nissan Sentra-based endurance series, and due to his small size, in order to improve driver swap speed, they taped a pink floral pillow to his rear for him to sit on. However, during the race, he would end up making contact with another car and barrel rolling. Photos would be taken of him sobbing, crawling from the wreckage with a pillow taped to his butt. Popular sentiment being, how could parents let their young children participate in such a dangerous sport? In 1995, Scott would win 13 of the 14 races of the Formula Ford Class 2 Championship. The next year, he'd win the Formula Ford Class 1 Championship, with victories in over half the races. Throughout this time, things got more expensive. Working on his own stuff, Scott was intimately familiar with the costs, and he knew that the next big crash he would have would probably be his last, because they couldn't afford to buy completely new things. So he tempered his driving style accordingly. He always drove a step or two below his maximum on the edge pace. It wasn't worth the risk. He focused on other aspects of racing, like strategy, fuel saving, tire savings, etc., in order to get legs up on the competition. His parents went as far as mortgaging their house as much as they could, and his father went even further, borrowing more money and not telling his wife about it. Logically, the next career move was going to be something like Formula Holden, but there was simply not enough money. The Dixons approached Kiwi legend Ken Smith, who became Scott's manager and mentor on their plan to move into the Australia Holden series. Scott had finished his high school equivalency in New Zealand and was going down under, living with an older friend of the family. His family and a group of local sponsors would try and cover sponsorship on a race-by-race basis. He'd run an older, underpowered car to help save money, but would still manage to finish third in the 1997 Formula Holden Championship, becoming Rookie of the Year. Scott also tried to help with money by driving a Mitsubishi van transporting cleaning products around. For the 1998 year, Ron Dixon and some other family mentors came up with a financial plan for his son. They started Scott Dixon Motorsport, an investment venture that featured around 13 wealthy Kiwi businessmen who could support Scott to race. They put in the money to help Scott make it to the track, and 50% of whatever Scott won would be paid to the investors indefinitely. The group was happy at a prospect of a financial return, but they also enjoyed the social aspect of being able to help a young Kiwi as both fans of motorsports and as countrymen. In that year, Scott would get 7 poles, 5 second-place finishes, and 5 victories in the Formula Holden series, becoming champion. He also finished second in the New Zealand Grand Prix. After this, the group was looking for the next affordable step up. There were plans for Dixon to fly to Europe and test an F3 car for Alan Docking Racing, but they weren't fully sure they could afford a whole season. Mentor Kenny Smith was friends with Australian former F1 driver Vern Schuppen, who co-owned an Indy Lights team with Stefan Johansson, and they wanted Scott to come test their car. On his way to Europe, Scott stopped off at Sebring in the States and tested with both the Pac West team and Johansson's team. He was the quickest out of about 20 cars, so Stefan wanted to sign a deal right then. Without any financial assurance on his plans to go to Europe, Scott took the option. In 1999, in the Indy Lights series, driving for Stefan Johansson, Scott would be teammates with a certain The Stig. Scott would beat his teammate, he would get podiums in his first 2 races, finish 4th at his first oval, and later in the year get his first victory at Chicago on an oval. Overall, he'd have 4 podiums, a victory, and finish 5th in the championship standings, just 1 point away from being the top-rated rookie. Later in the year, he'd make his first foray into sports car racing by running the Petit Le Mans in a Ferrari 333 SP. At the end of the season, Stefan would move into the role of his sole manager, and Scott would make the jump to the Pac West team for the following season. That year, he would win half of the year's 12 races and become the second youngest champion behind Greg Moore. It was finally time for Dixon to make his kart debut for the Pac West team. In just his third race, and on an oval, Scott would win at the Nazareth Speedway, becoming the youngest winner of a major open-wheel race at age 20. The rest of the season would see 2 further podiums and him finishing 8th in the standings. Growing up, Scott was a fan of Piquet and Senna, and he had dreamed of racing in Formula One, and he saw the kart IndyCar complex as a good stepping stone to prove himself. As such, for the 2002 season, he didn't sign any long-term contracts with the Pac West team. However, just 3 races into the season, the team would shut down after financial issues. Dixon was picked up by Chip Ganassi Racing to finish the rest of the season. 2003 would be the first full season of Dixon together with Ganassi. However, at the start of the year, Chip had decided to move from kart to the IndyCar IRL series due to the financial incentive and being able to compete in the Indy 500. Scott was uncertain about running an all-oval series because that wasn't what he had done growing up. However, he figured it out pretty quickly, because he won his first race of the year at Homestead, Miami. Throughout the rest of the year, he'd get 2 more wins and 5 runner-up finishes, securing his first IndyCar championship. After the success of 2003, as Scott had hoped while growing up, he had attracted the attention of the Williams BMW F1 team. His manager had worked out the details, and he'd be testing at both Paul Ricard and Barcelona. When he went for the seat fitting, he was taken aback by the fact that there was a divider in the cockpit between his legs. He hadn't grown up left foot braking, and now he would have to learn in an F1 car. When he first got on track, most drivers are surprised by the brakes, but Scott was most surprised by the power. The cars he had driven in kart and IRL had higher top speeds, but they weren't able to accelerate like this. The F1 car was much quicker. It was much more nimble. His first test went pretty well. He was about 4th fastest out of 14 drivers. However, between the first and the second test with the team, their outgoing driver Juan Pablo Montoya was already planned to be replaced by Mark Webber. So that meant drivers were competing for a testing role. Scott had had a good time with the team. They put a photo of a sheep on his steering wheel to make him feel more at home, and when he spun off track in his second test, they gifted him a bag of gravel they had pulled out of the car. It was a tough decision, but he didn't want to pursue any further options to just be a test driver at the time. Sure, it could have led to more opportunities to possibly becoming a full-time driver, but in IndyCar he had just won the championship, and he drove for Chip Ganassi. By his background, he wasn't really an oval guy, but it had worked out pretty well the previous year, so he decided to return to the States. A decision he says he has no regrets or second thoughts about. After his success in 2003, the investors behind the Scott Dixon Motorsport Group decided to amend his contract. They agreed that Scott no longer needed to give 50% of his victory winnings back to the group. Once he had broke even and paid everyone back, that part of the clause was gone. All they asked was he continue to help support other drivers through a similar method. So while the Scott Dixon investment group dissolved, the group largely continued to help and support other drivers from New Zealand. And as such, Scott has helped partially fund such drivers as Richie Stanaway, Earl Bamber, and Brendan Hartley.
What is he doing there? You think he's showing that maybe those tyres are worn out?
Ironically, upon returning to IndyCar in 2004 and 2005, Scott would have the worst 2 years of his career. The change in engine regulations caused a change in balance in the cars, and Scott often tried to overdrive the car, which had bad consequences on ovals. Plus, the Toyota engine seemed to lack some performance compared to the other suppliers. Fortunately, Dixon has signed a contract until the conclusion of the 2006 season, and by 2006 the team had switched to Honda engines following Toyota's departure from the sport. The series had also started adding road courses back on the calendar, and Scott had worked hard to learn how to improve on intermediate ovals. Between 2006 and 2022, Scott has only finished outside of the top 4 in the championship once. In total, he's won 6 championships and 53 races, putting him only second to AJ Foyt. He's won the Indy 500, overall at the Daytona 24 3 times, and is generally considered a threat for victory everywhere he goes. He's still entirely committed to breaking records in IndyCar, but someday he'd like to do the Bathurst 1000, or maybe a short track race in NASCAR? Either way, he has no plans for retirement anytime soon. As long as he is competitive, Scott said he would race until he is 80, and his family at home completely understand that. His wife is a former athlete herself, and he says she is way more competitive and animated than the Iceman would ever be. Hi there, and thank you greatly for watching. So this video took me a bit longer to make than it should have because I was working on a few other things I'm hoping to have ready soon for the channel to maybe help it grow. So if you're not subscribed and enjoy this type of stuff, then please consider doing so because it helps a ton and you can always unsub if you regret it later. But other than that, thanks again for watching and I hope you enjoyed it. And then for my next video, it will be quite proper and maybe a little topless. It's about a young racer who steamed onto the scene with great success, and now he runs with the Wolves. So if you have any guess as to what that means, let me hear it in the comments below. But until then, I'll see you next time on Driver Profiles.